Pilots are the central primary focus of the Titanfall games, described as being the pinnacle of combat personnel and possessing training and skills that far surpasses that of the average grunt. Pilots are said to be in a league of their own on the battlefield. So what makes up a Titan pilot? Or are they more akin to a super soldier Spartan from the Halo franchise? That is kind of what I want to go over and discuss in this video, the anatomy of Titanfall's pilots. Before going into all this, I want to say a good portion of this is going to be theorizing based on the little bit we know about pilots. Respawn hasn't been very definite or very consistent in how pilots are viewed across their 3 games. In the Titanfall games, pilots were definitely more like super soldier-like. You know, in Titanfall 1 especially, they had numerous augmentations, transhumanism pieces to them, many of which I will discuss. Then the lead writer of Respawn said, nope, not super soldiers, just really highly trained grunts, and Apex seems to sort of follow this storytelling as well. I'm generally going to go over the pre-Apex Legends lore for pilots since it was, I don't know, it was a little bit more clear cut before Apex started toying with it a little bit more. Now, there are several types of pilots in the Titanfall universe. This isn't really something that is talked about a ton of the games because it really only focuses on combat pilots, but there is a glimpse of it in one of the trailers where the militia pilots are using Titans for farming. Basically, there are several certifications to become a pilot, the combat certification being the most coveted and highly sought after. There are both civilian and military pilots. The civilian pilots get certification to pilot Titans for search and rescue, shipping, loading, construction, or agriculture. Again, combat seems to be the one certification that all pilots eventually want to get to. Now, a pilot's training is rigorous. We get a glimpse at the difficulty of this training on the IMC side. The main training center for the IMC pilots is on the planet Gridiron at Training Ground Whitehead. Now, this training ground, just to give you all a picture, has a 98% failure rate. 100 pilots go into training and only 2 actually become pilots. And a lot of them actually die in the training because the facility uses live fire exercises. For comparison to sort of the real world, the Navy SEALs, which is one of the most well-trained special forces that the world has to offer, has a 75% fail rate. Compare this to the British SAS and the Russian Spetsnaz, who both have a failure rate of roughly 80% and are extremely deadly special forces units. So even the hardest modern military training still have a graduation rate that is 8% more than the IMC's pilot program, just to sort of give you a picture of how difficult the training really is. One of the requirements is to run 20 kilometers or 12.42 miles, then stand 25 meters from a target and shoot a grouping no bigger than 10 centimeters with an R97. Now, if you've ever ran any distance at all, you probably know how hard it is to catch your breath and stabilize yourself. Then imagine shooting an SMG meant for short range at 25 meters. And if you've shot a gun in your lifetime, you definitely know how hard it is to be that accurate, let alone running and then being that accurate. It's an absolutely insane requirement, and it's really no wonder why most people who try to become pilots fail. The other method for training pilots is using a simulation. This is seen in Titanfall 2's Pilot Gauntlet. This was a homegrown militia simulation program, which was likely the first, if not one of the first of its kind, to be developed by the militia. Most of the programs that the militia used before that were IMC training programs obtained on the black market. So the maps War Games and Glitch are likely pilot training simulations that were used by both sides of the war to allow their pilots to sort of fight one another without actually dying. The pilots' training made sure that only the best soldiers could actually become pilots. The pilot is not a super soldier. Now, this has been debated pretty extensively, but when a Respawn writer comes out and says that they're just really well-trained grunts, then I think that sort of just sorts that out. Now, while I think the pilots are normal per se, many pilots do opt for some sort of physiological enhancements in order to make them deadlier in combat. These enhancements can be something like an aural implant to sharpen the pilot's sense of hearing, giving the pilot a prosthetic leg that increases their ability to run and make parkour maneuvers. There are also more invasive changes, such as Spectre camo. Pilots undergoing this procedure basically have their consciousness transferred from their self into a Spectre chassis in order to make them less of a target for pilots on the battlefield. Some pilots also undergo the process of becoming a simulacrum. This is similar to Spectre camo because the pilot's consciousness is basically being transferred into a robotic chassis. These pilots can be rebuilt over and over and over again. The militia and the IMC would often use these programs in order to preserve their most valuable pilots if they were to ever die in battle. Now, the most important part of a pilot is their bond with a Titan. Pilots undergo a neural link when they're paired with their Titan. It's not exactly certain how this process is carried out or what exactly gives the pilot in terms of a connection, but we know that it allows the pilot to operate their Titan as if it was an extension of their own body. The Apex Legends trailer where Valkyrie pilots her dad's Titans is seemingly conflicting to this idea of a special neural link. Now, this could be careless writing or it could be an oversight, but basically I'm just going to theorize why. Basically, I think that it operates at a genetic level. So maybe the Titan connects through their pilot through some sort of genetic coding, and that's how the pilot is able to access the Titan. Given that Valkyrie is 50% Viper, she may have enough of a link to pilot the Titan to some capacity, but does not have the proper link to use the North Star Titan to its full potential. It's probably why we see her struggling to control the Titan, and the Titan seemingly operates at random in some instances. I would like to believe that it's true because otherwise anyone can jump into any Titan at any time and the bond really no longer matters. Throughout training and combat, a pilot and Titan form an almost unstoppable duo. The more they learn about how each of them operate with each encounter, and basically they learn how to make each tactical situation play in their favor. They are synergistic and meant to work together most of the time, although it's shown that a solo pilot with no Titan is more than capable of handling themselves. The bond between a pilot and a Titan is sort of what makes a pilot the most formidable force on the battlefield. So that is all I've got for the anatomy of a Titanfall pilot. Hope you all got something out of this video. Let me know down in the comment section below what you all think about pilots. Do you think they're super soldiers? Do you think they're just really highly trained grunts? I'd really like to hear about your opinions. If you did enjoy the video, then please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. I appreciate every bit of support the channel gets. I've also got a bunch of links down in the description, so please go check those out, including an awesome community Discord, which we would love to have you join. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.